But I am curious. Are you originally from California? What's
No, not the. It's so funny because Layla and Ash make a joke about this a lot that being from Kentucky is part of my personality.
You're from Kentucky? I had no idea.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm.
wow.
That's crazy because I'd like to say no one expects it, but that's kind of the joke at the studio. They're like, "How many times a day do you say, 'Well, I'm from Kentucky?'" And
Love
it's
that.
probably a lot. But I moved here when I was 21, I think, about 21. I got my teacher training in Kentucky when I was 18.
Oh,
I was a really ADHD girl, very hyperactive, constantly moving, constantly in fight or flight. Didn't even know what that meant. But I found yoga and I was like, wow, this is the first time I know what it feels like to be clear minded, to be grounded and fully present for an entire hour. Like that was unheard of previously before finding my yoga practice. And I think took my I took yoga when I was a teenager as well with my mom for that reason. It's like, how can we naturally find calm for
yeah.
this girl outside of just sticking her in front of a canvas? Or creativity was always the exit route for me, or more so the entrance, I guess, inward. But you can't always drop everything you're doing and pull out some paint or pick up an instrument. But what you can do is take 5 minutes to meditate, to breathe, or to move your body, get the wiggles out, and become present on your mat. So when I discovered that, I was like, I have to share this, and signed up for the first teacher training I found. Ended up being very lucky, very fortunate, because it was, I still to this day think, one of the best trainings available. And it just happened to be the one that I found and
But
dropped into.
was building a business a part of the goal one day, or was it just, it seems like it came very organically.
It was very organic. And when I was younger, I would say that I just loved teaching. I loved being in community. I loved sharing this powerful practice. But it was soon after, probably around 20 years old, maybe right before moving to LA, I wrote down in a journal somewhere that I wanted to open my own studio someday.
Wow.
And then I got a little more clear with it. I fill out a dream journal every year, and it's an incredible journal.
I need to do this.
I'll send you the link too. And it in 2017, 2018, I don't know, it might have been later than that. I wrote that I specifically wanted to open a yoga studio before I turned 28. And I turned 28 in October.
Oh, wow.
And I don't, manifestation.
But
Yeah,
also the journey there is wild because Kentucky all the way to LA,
right.
also the in between. What your studio is today is the opposite of, I think, the studios you practiced at in the past.
Oh,
Fast paced versus more mindful, slow, intentional. So that's really cool. That's astonishing.
it has been a journey, and that was very intentional. It wasn't necessarily ever thought through as a business, from a business standpoint, saying, I want to offer this because it's just so left field from what I've found in LA.
It's just
It
more
was,
of you.
exactly. It was, this is what's really making a difference to regulate my nervous system, to be more impactful to my community. These practices seem to have more longevity behind them. And I love fast paced breath to movement vinyasa. I teach it, I take it, but I think having a more well rounded practice and bringing some of that slow, intentional movement into the physical practice, the asana, all the way to your breath, your meditation, is how you become the most well-rounded version of yourself, the healthiest version of yourself, etc. And ironically, where I first got trained, she was anti-hot yoga.
Oh,
She was like, so graceful and so well educated. She was like, I was like, how do I become like Lauren? She was so just a powerful woman. And I think her aversion to hot yoga was the same thing we're talking about. It was taking over the special, deep rooted ancient practice that she knew and that had helped her and so many others. And yeah, that was my foundation. And I think coming to LA ironically got me like, oh, well, this is what the people want. We do workout yoga here. And it took adulting and growing and learning and finding my own at home practice to realize that I didn't want to create another one of those. And there's no shade to those studios or those communities. They've taught me so much. They've brought me to where I am today. But I just felt there was something missing.
But that takes a lot of strength to be like, I'm not following the crowd. I'm building something new and something that really nourishes me and my community. You have a huge community. You do.
Thank you.
And the fact that you bet on yourself and your vision, polar opposite of what's happening, it speaks authenticity. It speaks strength. And we all want to support you. So I'm really excited for you.
Thank you. That means so much, Liz.
So what's been like the most challenging part though? It seems, I'm sure there's many. It seems like you're going with your gut a lot and you're following your intuition. But what's been?
So honestly, it's interesting. One thing that comes to mind is adding on to not following the crowd or staying true to what is authentic, what matters, what I want to share and what my team wants to also bring to the community. The first thing we thought was going to be a big challenge, and I emphasize that because it ended up being not so bad, but it was, oh, so are you going to offer this style, sculpt, bar, X, Y, and Z? And having built such a really strong community in those styles previously, both Layla and I had done that. It was difficult. There were times when it was slower and we were first starting and no one knew we existed, where we were like, do we just sell out? Do we? And it wasn't something we ever really considered for more than 2 seconds. We were always like, nope, this is what we do here. This means a lot and people will understand and appreciate that truth. But it ended up going away pretty quickly. We don't have those questions as much. And what really has been our biggest challenges are more logistic and I would say natural disaster related, just things that
out of your control.
Exactly, things that our team is so strong. I'm so fortunate to have the people that I do in the community, on the team, in this family. So it's definitely not related to that. More so, how can you prepare for a fire? How could you prepare for the landlords of your studio not approving, what are they called, permits, certain permits for our infrared heaters? We've had them in the back.
Because first you're dealing with the city and they won't approve, then you finally get them to approve, and then you have the landlords.
Exactly, saying no, and it's going to be this much more budget related, but nothing related to the community itself. I've been so blessed and we've been so grateful for everyone that's found Satorii, because it's really flourished into exactly what we'd envisioned. And we thought it might take a little more explanation, more marketing, more press, but it's been very organic. And I think that speaks volumes for the community itself.